Good evening, folks. It's Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project, Magnetic Reversal News, and Shinrin-yoku, bringing you a grand solar minimum update Monday, July 25th, around 9 p.m. Mountain Time, 2022. You're looking at the Minnesota aurora, and it was spectacular over the weekend as predicted. But the big story, wildfire near Yosemite National Park explodes in size and forces thousands to evacuate. Keep calm. It's boom time. Now the fire is hot, and it is the largest fire in, well, the wildfire season this year in California. The Oak Fire is now just 10% contained Monday as firefighters traversed steep terrain and sweltering temperatures and low humidity to quench the flames. Let's see what they're saying there. Can we unmute this?
California. And George, George Solis, who is in the thick of this fire right near Yosemite out in Mariposa, California. And George, part of the problem is it's hot. Part of the problem is it's dry. And part of the problem is that it's super steep. So firefighters, can't get a lot of access from the ground. They've got to come after it from the air.
That's right, Hallie. It's kind of a perfect storm for a really bad scenario. And behind me, you can still see that smoke billowing from the Oak Fire right there. You could just pluming everywhere. Now here, the damage still significant, and we still don't have a full scope as this fire is still burning. But I want to show you really quick. We are on the property of Rodney, McGuire, who allowed us to be here to show you, long day out here, how bad this fire can be when it's been raging. Take a look. This is what's left of his home. Right there, some fitness equipment completely gone. There's a wall there. Looks like that was his stove area. Totally just disheveled. So right now, as you mentioned, the firefighters are dealing with pretty tough conditions right now, right? The terrain is...
Is this guy serious? Disheveled? The whole thing's burnt to the ground. What a terrible reporter. Completely embarrassing. NBC News. Pathetic. 2 dead, 1 missing after flash floods hit fire-scarred areas of New Mexico. We warned about this days ago, and it's happening. Now be ready. Significant flash flood threat is expected at burn scar areas. We just had about half an inch of rain here rapidly come down. There's flooding across the roads. And it's going to be a little dry, but the monsoons are going to kick up later in this week, and they just started today here, and they're going to continue to get worse day after day. We've got flooding. We've got landslides. We've got debris on the roads. And that is just a sign of the times. Now, also sign of the times, Lake Superior holding 7 Fahrenheit colder than normal. This is another historic snowstorm pummels Argentina. Let's take a look at how cold Lake Superior is in the middle of summer. What a bummer. It's one of the coldest temperatures ever recorded at Lake Superior. July 19th, 2022. One of the lowest temperatures, only 1 year lower on the data set. And did you notice that the mainstream is fear-mongering about Greenland melting? It hasn't even descended below the 30-year average of melt. It's one of the weakest melt years on record, and they're claiming that there's a huge amount melting in Greenland. Total nonsense. Oh, you want to talk about Argentina? Let's take a look at some of these pictures. Holy macaroni. Incredible winter in Esquel, Argentina. So heavy, the snow accumulation here, that a roof collapsed on a gym in El Hoyo. The whole gym is missing. And there's some more pictures from Argentina. Some dead cattle. Not looking good. Now, if we take a look at the models, we got some heavy, severe weather moving through what appears to be Indiana there and Illinois. And that will be through tomorrow. So heads up if you're in that region. As far as the precipitation is looking, it's looking very wet in the Four Corners in the next week, as well as the Mid-Atlantic. So if you're in those regions, well, your gardens are going to be spectacular. Now, excessive heat is still lingering. Severe storms and flooding expected this week. The intense heat in the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic will linger one more day. By no means was it a historic heat wave or anything like the media is portraying. But the persistent heat in the south central U.S. will last for more days, especially Oklahoma and Arkansas and Missouri. Yeah, it's going to be hot in those regions. Now, severe storms are likely in the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic on Monday, but that's pretty much over because it's Monday evening. Now, heavy to excessive rain may produce flooding in the Four Corners region, which, well, I have proof of that happening. Now, seismic update. Magnitude 4.9 earthquake at Borda Bonga on the 24th. A little flurry of activity there. Nothing spectacular, but this is indicative of the magma building for the next eruption. Now, we'll get to Trudeau, but let's take a look at maybe some more earthquake activity here. We're going to look at the USGS map. Nothing significant. We've got a rocker up here at the mid-ocean ridge, some heavy mid-ocean ridge activity, and some mild activity here in Hawaii. Nothing significant in the U.S. All is quiet on the Western Front, except when it comes to volcanoes. Now, Sakurajima in Japan was raised from alert level from 3 to 5, unprecedented, after a lateral explosion sent pyroclastic bombs 3.5 kilometers from the volcano, and they rapidly raised the alert level from 3 to 5, which is an unusual advance, as an above-average eruption occurred at 20:05 yesterday local time. People have been already evacuating from the danger zone as the intense explosion took place from Minamidaki crater, showering the crater with incandescent lava bombs, of which certain amount have been ejected up to a distance of 2.5 kilometers east of the crater, my bad. And there is video of that. So you can take a look at the incandescent lava bombs blasting towards a village. There's a village right over here. And if you were just going to bed, probably not a solid sleep. So that's what's happening at Sakurajima. And the activity is increasing. Just moments ago, an 11,000-foot blast from the same crater. Now, Krakatoa, we warned about 10 days ago of an uptick, and it has continued. The volcano continues to erupt, and over the past week, its activity seems to have been increasing, as we predicted. This is suggesting by several observations. Incandescence at the Anak Krakatau Island, meaning the island is glowing, where the vent is located, and all telemetry is showing an uptick starting May 22nd and continuing till today, with another rapid micro flurry of activity in the last few days. So we could be seeing something big building at Krakatau. Also at Bardabunga in Iceland, the volcano continues to inflate, as we've seen an M4 and an M4.9 quake from the volcano. Now, Minnesotans saw the northern lights Friday night, and we showed you the picture, and that was because of the geomagnetic storm that we predicted coming from the coronal mass ejection in the form of a filament. And there we have it. There's the CME coming, and it didn't get up as high as we predicted, KP7. It only got KP5 for about an hour. Completely insignificant, but a big blast and a big change in the state of space weather, giving the upper 48, yes, the lower 48, the upper states in the lower 48, a glorious view. And here is a shot from a lake in Minnesota. Just fantastic. Now, space weather has dropped off a cliff because we are in a grand solar minimum sun, and at solar max right now, the sun has gone quiet. Very few sunspots. Nothing to see here. Well, there is something to see here. In fact, the largest recorded snowfall ever recorded in the southern hemisphere. This is the automated multi-sensor snow ice mapping system of South America, and this is the highest recorded snowfall in any season in South America, albeit it's only been 20 or years of record keeping, but still the highest snowfall ever recorded in South America in 2 decades. Since records began, now mysterious life forms discovered in centuries-old Hawaii lava caves. This is some like extra planetary stuff. And why we don't even know this is happening on the surface of the Earth should give you pause, because, well, we don't even know what's happening on the surface of the Earth, let alone on other planets. Now, hundreds of years ago, the volcanic process that created the islands of Hawaii also formed a network of underground tunnels and caves and lava tubes. They're cold and dark and full of toxic gases and minerals, so pretty much inhospitable to most life forms, according to dumb scientists on the surface of Earth. But if there is life to exist all around the universe, then it must live in these other realms, these what we call humans on Earth, biological entities that are not that smart, inhospitable regions for life. And every time we go to an inhospitable region for life, guess what? It's teeming with life. The exact opposite of what you've been told. And that is the nature of science. Now, James Webb Space Telescope continues to stun with the phantom galaxy picture that looks like a wormhole. But it's not a phantom galaxy. It's telescope imagery of NGC 628, the phantom galaxy. And it shows glowing dust and plasma in a fantastical, well, let's just take a look at take a look at that. Can actually blow that down a little to get a little better res. What's going on in the middle there? Holy macaroni. Oh, yeah, we already covered that. Now, did you hear about the longest meteor ever recorded? They're confirming it now, but this meteor, as long as this gentleman recorded it, lasted for 27 seconds. And this is pretty fantastic, actually. So we should.
The Perseid meteor shower returned in all its galactic.
Now, I have a caveat here. The guy in the plaid suit is a complete idiot. But the guy who took the photos, not so much.
Did glory 4 days ago. It's the time of year when Earth passes through the dust trail left behind by the comet Swift-Tuttle. Yeah, it just kind of blows through there. Every year it happens. Barring any overbearing light pollution, you can get out and see some of these. And a lot of local astronomers, amateur stargazers are out there trying to get a glimpse of that dust that we would only see as it entered the atmosphere as a meteor. Well, Jordan Ragsdale of Eagle has seen a lot of these meteors. For the past year or so, he's recorded countless of them on his outdoor camera. Some days he gets as few as 20. Some mornings he wakes up to as many as 500 recorded meteors. Well, early yesterday morning, just after 5 a.m., Jordan caught more than a glimpse of a meteor. One that he says was the longest he's ever recorded and maybe the longest ever recorded.
This one just stood out because it happened over multiple cameras. And anytime that happens, it's always like, oh, that was a long traveling meteor. It's pretty unusual for it to, go so far that it goes from one camera angle to the next. And as I was looking more, I was like, wow, this is 4 camera angles, and not only that, but it kind of started on the northern horizon. And then, I didn't even see it finish behind the southern horizon. It, went behind a tree before I could see it. So
27 seconds, is that a long time for a meteor?
I think it's pretty unusual because, most of the time they just burn up in the atmosphere.
So what can we glean from this? Well, it's pretty simple that this bolide was gigantic. So we have a very large object entering Earth's atmosphere that the powers that be don't know about, and a 27-second burn, and it was definitely burning up longer than that, well, is a very large object, and I'm sure it hit somewhere. So we may get a follow-up on this, but the longest duration bolide ever witnessed in recent times probably just happened the other day. And it is part of the Perseid meteor shower. So maybe we have more bolides coming in because this phenomenon, the Perseids from Swift-Tuttle, is going to last until August 24th, and it's not going to peak until the 13th. So August 13th may be, well, boom time somewhere. Now let's talk about a little bit about the dystopian future and a little bit of the communist narrative from these globalist idiots. And number one is Trudeau. He's pushing ahead on fertilizer reduction as provinces and farmers cry foul, and they're revolting. They're revolting similar to the farmers in the Netherlands as he moves forward with the fertilizer reduction climate policy. Now, ag ministers are expressing profound disappointment with this because, they have laptops and televisions and they see what's happening in the Netherlands. At the same time, the Trudeau government is seeking specifications for insects as food. All the conspiracy theories coming true right before your very lives, as the World Economic Forum now is vowing to buy up Dutch farmers' lands. Well, why wouldn't they? If they want to control the world, why wouldn't they own it all? And of course, at the same time, we're saving the earth from climate and the globalist agenda to save the planet. Our climate envoy, John Kerry, the biggest schmuck on earth, his jet has emitted 300 metric tons of pollution since Biden took office to save the planet. Let me repeat that. And I'm not making a faux pas here on my teleprompter. I'm actually repeating it. Climate envoy John Kerry's jet has emitted 300 metric tons of pollution since Biden took office. And this is why, at the same time that they claimed that they were going to use commercial airlines, well, they didn't. because these people, these money funders, are liars and charlatans, crooks and villains. Period. Are you picking it up? And this is the new thing. They just changed the definition of recession. So I made sure to screen capture the original definition of recession so we can all learn together what a recession is. Now, a recession is a period of temporary economic decline during which trade and industrial activity are reduced. And it's generally identified by a fall in GDP in 2 successive quarters. That's the entire definition. So a recession is a fall in GDP in 2 successive quarters. And now the White House and the government posted a statement that that's not true. That's not necessarily true. It's not the definition because we're going to change it. But I have here the original definition of
recession.
And I just wanted to stick that up the, yeah. Now, if you're smart and you're looking to be self-sufficient and you didn't think it was possible to grow kiwi, did you know that kiwis can grow all the way to the Arctic? Yeah, zone 2. This is a different type of kiwi than the one you buy in the grocery store that comes from the equator. This is the hardy kiwi vine. It's cold hardy cousin, Actinidia delicioso, and it is delicioso. And the only difference is that these kiwis are smaller. Just about an inch, like a grape, but you can grow hundreds of them. And you do need a pollinator, but they have developed some varieties that are self-pollinating, so that's good. Look for some hardy kiwi and get out there, build a trellis and plant hardy kiwi in your survival garden. Now, how to plant for cold season crops, which are coming up. We're going to leave you the link to this article. If you live in areas of temperate climate and enjoy homegrown vegetables, it's time to start planting now cold crops. That means lettuces and brassicas and all kinds of things. And if you want to get your game on how to grow cold season crops, check out the article, which will be linked below. If you're getting your cook on with all of your survival food and you don't even know what to do with a Jerusalem artichoke, let me break it down for you. Jerusalem artichokes are one of the easiest crops to grow. They're drought resistant. They require nothing. They look like sunflowers, so nobody even knows what you have underground there. And these tubers have a really good glycemic index, so they're even good for diabetics and people watching their sugar intake and their carbs. And it's so easy to cook them. You just roast them like any other root vegetable, like a carrot or a potato or a beet. You just toss them in some olive oil, salt, pepper, and rosemary. And in this case, you put in a whole head of garlic, and you roast them at about 400 for an hour. An hour of power. Then you squeeze out that garlic and toss it and serve it, and it's fantastic because it was free. You bought a few tubers, and 5 years later, you have hundreds of pounds of Jerusalem artichoke in the ground, which could save you and your family and your neighbors in a time of need. And that's a boon to knowledge. Proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance. Hope you got something out of the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't and share this with like-minded people. Especially, we're thanking our Patreons. Without your help, we can't make these videos. And we love you. And to the heroes that share this video, be safe. And that's a boon.